the song. Thoughts become action. Tell me what's happening. What's your mind wrapped in?
What's going on YouTube? Nassif here from Click, and today I'm going to be doing a quick video here. I'm going to be doing a comparison here of the Blu Energy X2 and the Blu Life One X 2016. Now both of these are 2016 edition phones. Just clear my notifications here before we start up. WhatsApp, I don't want to verify. Alright, so basically what I'm going to do here is this phone costs, what did it cost me? The 170, and this one is around 220. So I want to kind of compare, like, is it worth spending that extra $50 to get the $220 phone, or should you just not spend it and keep the lower end phone? So hopefully by the end of this video I'll have kind of like a consensus. I kind of already have an idea, but if you guys were maybe looking between these two phones or anything similar, because a lot of Blu phones are very similar in specs, hopefully this video will help you, between choosing if it's worth upgrading to the next level phone. So first things first, we're going to talk about screen. Again, this one has a 720p LCD, this one has a 1080p LCD. You know which one's better. You can tell just based off of the picture here. Let's just bump the brightness on both. They're both on full brightness. You can tell here that oh man, you can't really tell because of the reflection here. But behind the camera here, you can tell that the 1080p panel looks that much better, and definitely more pixels is better. But so that's the first thing off the bat. In terms of cameras now, guys, like, again, honestly, I don't really... Obviously, this one has a better camera. I believe this one's 13 megapixel versus 8. But the thing is when you take pictures, they both both come out really well. You can see here, this one's just slightly out of focus because my hand is a little bit shaky. But you can just see here the colors. Okay, so the colors look a little bit more realistic on the Life One X, but the Energy X2 doesn't take bad pictures. Like, this is a poor example of it, but it doesn't take bad pictures. I have used both phones, and again, the cameras, like, you'll only notice the difference if you try say I'm gonna edit video or edit pictures and stuff on the computer. Then you maybe like a 40 megapixel Nokia phone would be good for you, but who the hell uses Windows phone anyway? So but the next thing I want to talk about here is software. Now if you're looking at which Android version, they're the same one, 5.1, 5.1. We'll bump the brightness back down again, so we're not really looking at the screens here. Okay, bump this one a little bit lower. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that they're both running Android 5.1. The Life One X has a very stock Android skin. There's nothing really going on here other than it's just butt stock Lollipop with very few additions. So you have here like Smart Awake and Smart Gesture and stuff like that. To be honest, that stuff is kind of welcome because it's stuff that should be in the stock OS but isn't. And then obviously if you look over here, this phone, the Energy X2, is it's not like a heavy skin, but it is definitely skinned, and you can tell that it's been skinned because obviously Android doesn't have a swipe up to the bottom thing, and the drop down has the the icons and stuff up here. So if you're looking for a stock Android experience, then the extra $50 will be worth spending here. Now the next thing I want to talk about is speakers. Okay, the speaker on this thing doesn't exist. Compared to this, it's like night and day. Let's see if I can find it. Do I have a non-copyright song on the phones? Let's take a look and see here. No? Do I not have the non... Oh wait, I do. Okay, so we'll play it on this phone first. Okay, so let's turn that down. We're going to put this one on full blast too. Okay, so on video, probably you're not going to hear much of a difference. But in person, this one is definitely louder, but the thing is, at the same time, it's also definitely tinier. This one has a more full sound stage, but it's not anything compared to front-firing speakers or like an iPhone speaker HTC. So in terms of the music apps themselves, so this one you have to use stock Google Music app. This one here has the same music app as the Pure XL and the Energy X, or the Energy X2, and then also the Energy XL, which I unboxed recently. So you have the the volume. So here, let's turn the volume up here. So you have volume strengthening mode, which gives you a little bit of a boost over top 100. So you go to about, instead of 100%, you go to about 110%. So that's what that is. And it's just the small things in the skin on the left here on the X2. They don't kind of hinder performance and they don't add to it, but they just kind of make the experience just a little bit better from day-to-day usage. So there's that to consider. What else do I want to talk about here? Battery, obviously, again, the Energy X2, the Energy stands for long battery life. Now, don't get me wrong, the Life One X doesn't have a bad battery. It lasts me about 3.5 hours screen on time. However, charging this thing takes forever. I can't begin to tell you how long it takes to charge this thing. Sometimes it actually loses charge faster than it is gaining it. And I know I checked online, a lot of people have this issue. It's not just me, it's not just the phone defect or whatever, it's the actual, I guess, the software that's running or the phone itself. This phone here, I can go 2 days, I'll get 5 hours of screen on time. And charging it, I believe it has quick charge, if I'm not mistaken. It did come with a bigger blue brick. And it charges from 0 to like 100 in maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours. So it's really quick compared to this thing. This thing takes sometimes up to 4 or 5 hours to charge from 0 to 100%. So that might be something to consider. And the next thing that I want to talk about, probably the last thing, the first thing that you really notice, we should have talked about it first, is the build. When you pick these phones up, which one feels better, which one feels more pricey and more expensive. So obviously, we'll talk about the Life One X first. You have 2.5D glass, you have an aluminum bezel all the way around, then you have a plastic back, which is kind of coated in like this, the fake leather paint, similar to the Note 4. Now, on the Energy X2, we have, again, 2.5D glass all the way around. You have a plastic bezel here, the side rails, and a plastic back. However, this one feels like it's hard to say which one feels better. If you go based off of like, I guess holding the phone itself and just based off of the way it feels in terms of like touch, then this one is definitely built better. But in terms of just like sturdiness and like which one feels more like if I were to throw these at a wall or whatever, which one would come out alive? This one would put a hole in the wall and this one would fall apart. That's the way these feel because this one is much lighter. This one is a tank compared to this one. Now, those are kind of the main things. Again, cameras are the same, speakers, talked about that, charging times, battery, screen. So we talked about the important things. Now I want to give you guys my kind of personal input on here. So this one, again, $170 to $220. Is it worth spending the extra $20 to get this phone? Personally, you know what? I would say do it because the performance, well, one thing we didn't talk about, which is kind of big, which kind of led into just now, but it is what it is. Performance on this thing blows the Energy X2 out of the water. Now, don't get me wrong, the Energy X2 is not a crappy slow phone. It's fast. It manages its RAM decently. If you're playing games and stuff, obviously it's not going to be able to keep that in the RAM. But however, performance on this thing just kind of outclasses the Energy X2 in every way. And I think that has to do with the slightly better processor, the better RAM. It has 2 gigs of RAM instead of just the 1 gig. And just, I guess, overall, the software is less skinned, so it's more close to stock Android than this one. So, I mean, in terms of performance, if you're looking for a more powerful, again, so this can go two ways and it's very kind of opinionated, I guess, based on what you like. But for me personally, I would go with the Life One X. I can sacrifice, like, the only thing that the Energy X2 really has over the Life One X that takes it completely is the battery. Now, I can kind of spare, I cannot go if I don't need a 5-hour screen on time phone because I have a 20,000 milliamp hour battery here, which I've charged my phone one full charge and it's still at 100%. Now, we don't know how accurate that reader is, but it just gives you kind of an idea of how irrelevant battery is nowadays, where we have battery chargers everywhere and there's wall plugs everywhere. However, some people may argue that and say, no, screw that, phones are supposed to last a long time. I'm supposed to be able to charge it once a week or whatever. Now this might actually get some people, once a week. If you're a basic Android user or a basic phone user who doesn't do anything other than using a phone for a phone, like someone like my grandpa or, an uncle of mine or an aunt, someone older who doesn't really care to be on social media and stuff like that, and they just use their phone for mail, once in a while YouTube, or, a web page every once in a while, and a phone call once in a while. This phone, I would recommend this phone to them. One, it's cheaper. Two, it feels more hefty, and people tend to pick up whatever phone feels better, like heftier. They're like, this one's built better. And also, when you kind of use this phone, you can kind of feel like, hey, this is kind of directed for someone who's not a heavy user. especially with the 1 gig of RAM. But again, 1 gig of RAM for a 70-year-old or 60-year-old person is not going to make a a huge difference in their lives. My grandpa, actually gave him my old Blue Studio C super camera or whatever. That has 1 gig of RAM. He loves it. Because he doesn't do much on it, but the stuff that he does do, the phone runs it like lightning. So I guess, guys, that's my opinion. Personally, I would pick this one up. But if you're the type of person who doesn't need a powerhouse phone, or I mean, not saying that this is a powerhouse phone by any means. It's not going to blow out an S7 or anything, but it definitely has more juice than this thing. If you're looking for a more powerful phone and you have the $50 to spare, definitely pick up the Blu Life One X. But please get it in black, or else you're gonna end up having a brown backplate after time, as you can see here, the discoloration that I mentioned in the previous video about the Life One X. But it is what it is, and if you're the type who needs a not so powerful phone, something cheap, something affordable, something that'll last you a long time and does the basics perfectly fine, the Energy X2 is where it's at. So guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to compare the Life One X to the Energy X2, give you guys my thoughts and kind of which one I would buy and which one I would recommend and whatnot. So again, I would recommend this one, but if you're a battery user or someone who needs to have more battery, and doesn't need like a powerful smartphone, the Energy X2. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video or if it helped you out with anything and maybe making a purchase between these two, feel free to drop a like on it. If you like the content on the channel, feel free to drop us a sub. And if you have any questions about the phones or any other Blue phones, or if you want me to make a video on something, if you guys are, if you're considering buying a Pure XL or the Energy XL or whatever, you let me know. I'll make the video. If I have it here, I'll make it. If I can pick it up, if I can find it at a decent price somewhere, I'll pick it up and review it and make whatever video you need. So again, drop a comment down below and let me know what you guys want to see. Thanks guys so much for all the support. This has been Nasif from Click, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.